to you from Studio 77, deep in the heart of Dixie, Gastonia, North Carolina. Your Bourbon and Badges podcast, the podcast, Bourbon and Badges. I'm Buck.
Man, Buck does
Buck.
the best intro, does he not?
He sure does,
Good
man.
grief.
Blast
For the new listeners, Buck was one of the founding members of the podcast, and if you don't listen to some old stuff, go back to season 1, season 2, Buck's on all those, and 9 out of 10 times he was pissed.
He was. Sure was.
Speaking of being pissed and pissed off, man, look who got in the studio.
Who was that guy sat beside you?
Jerry Millwood, man, he was up here talking about Bigfoot a while back, and we had all kind of feedback from our listeners. Hey, can you guys shut up and let him talk some? So, we always have a pre-podcast meeting what we're going to talk about, and here's what we're talking about tonight. Jerry.
Hi, almighty.
All right, so
Jerry.
It's a hot topic.
the
That's
pre-podcast. Okay. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
You know, it's
Well,
about an
back
hour and a half drive for you to get up here.
About an hour and 20 minutes.
So we appreciate you driving up here,
that's
being at the house here up here in Shootout Mountain.
Heck
Yep.
yeah. Heck yeah.
So, yeah, man. So speaking of Jerry, man, I need something to drink.
So do I.
Yeah.
What you drinking?
Kind of started already. I am drinking some Chivas Scotch whiskey.
Boy, you are Mr. Scotch.
Yeah, I've turned into
Yeah. I don't know.
Scotch and Badges.
It was on the bourbon cart, and I just said, let me try this shit. So it's okay. It's pretty good. 80 proof.
Bourbon, do you have somebody squeak, 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 goes a little cart around your house and you just pick them?
I literally got a fucking car right there, wheels on. I don't know if it goes squeak, 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 like you
Hey,
fucking
James,
said.
can you bring me the cart, please? Do you have any of that? What kind of buster was that? The guy in the car, remember that? The commercial?
Which
Grey
commercial?
Poupon or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Do you have any grape?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
have any Grey Poupon? Yeah.
We're back in this bottle here at Buffalo Trace. Jerry and I had a pre-podcast pour, then a pre-podcast pour.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
That's it,
See
right?
that 5 times straight. Yeah.
I'm
About to see the
having.
bottom of this bottle.
Sweet. And, Whistle Pig.
It's the Piggyback, Whistle Pig Piggyback, Whistle Pig 10-year, or Whistle Pig 12-year mini bottles.
Oh, nice.
Big rye stuff, man. All rye, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that is I'm sure that little 3-pack probably is pretty pricey because,
It's $24.
oh, really, it wasn't too bad.
No,
Whistle Pig's usually pretty pricey.
Yeah.
And it's rye
Oh,
whiskey.
yeah.
it really is.
In a fifth, like up there, right?
Oh, yeah. The regular Whistle Pig 10-year is $80 for a fifth, $84 for a
It
fifth.
gets up there a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Gets up
it
there.
does. It
Yeah.
does.
All right, so guys, let's enjoy this pour. Enjoy the guests we've got here. And let me say up front, Jerry,
Yes, sir.
I am representing in the house.
Yeah, he is.
Dirty South Squatchin t-shirt.
Hey,
Nice.
I need to get me one of those.
Yeah.
How do I get me one of those,
You guys
Jerry?
has those.
$45. I can make you one, hound dog.
Jerry, I'll get up with you, brother.
Hey, I'll have Jerry sign this one and mail this to you for $65.
Oh, damn, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I just need to know what size you guys wear.
All right. I'll let you know at the end of the podcast because
But yeah, I had the opportunity to go to Marion, where they had the Liver Mush Festival. We talked about last podcast. Had a Bigfoot festival, and Jerry was nice to invite me up to his tent to see what's going on and see how they hang.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
interesting stuff, man. I'm telling you, it's eye-opening stuff that was shown, the photographs and stuff, the stories they were telling.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, and
Yeah, because they were just, I don't know, they started some of the Bigfoot stuff up last when they were doing the Livermush Festival when I went there. There were the Bigfoot crossing signs. There were just different Bigfoot stuff. And I was like, is this where Jerry talks about the Bigfoot places in Marion? And I thought maybe that was, but they were just having some kind of Bigfoot thing up there. Then at that
yeah, you
point,
was
right,
the back
Jerry?
end of the Bigfoot festival.
It's just a festival. Okay, yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Heck yeah.
And the Dirty South Squatchin group was one of 2 featured groups there.
I was gonna say I didn't see a lot of that. A lot of merchants were there selling their wares, but I didn't see a lot of the. All right, well, Jerry, okay, man. Give us a little background from you. We became buddies through law enforcement.
Yeah. 91. June of 91 is when I started working at magistrate's office.
So you're a master, and what that is,
That's right.
for the non-police people, we'd arrest bad guys and take them before Jerry, and Jerry would find probable cause to put them in jail, or whatever, or not.
Right.
Usually they'd go to jail.
Yeah.
Usually they go to jail. Nice. Hell
But yeah, so that's how we became friends, and just so happens you are a Bigfoot enthusiast. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, I started out as a Bigfoot. It started out as from when I was a kid, it was something for entertainment only.
Right.
If you've ever seen the movie Legend of Boggy Creek that was made in the early 70s.
I seen that at the Webb Theater.
That's where I saw it. My
Scared
grandfather
scared me to death when I
the
saw
first docu-horror ever made, or docudrama, and it was made by Charles Pierce.
What was it called again?
Legend of Boggy Creek.
Legend of Boggy Creek. You've got to see it.
Yeah, man, this dating this man, cause we were youngins. We were maybe teenagers, maybe I don't know.
I was I want to say I was younger than 10 when I saw it. When
Steve, if you were a teenager, that means Jerry and I were probably infants.
See, that wasn't nice at all. I knew that was going to come up. I knew that was going to come up.
I was just a thought in my dad's head at that time.
Charles Pierce.
Right now, you're still drinking the bottle.
Exactly. I still hanging in the Harry Boys download, just waiting to get fired out.
A fellow by the name of Charles B. Pierce was aware and collected stories from the area of Falk, Arkansas, Boggy Creek. And he decided to make a movie. He borrowed a camera and $60,000, and it went nationwide. It went viral before we knew what viral was. To date, I think it's made $28 million.
Really? Wow.
With an initial investment of $60,000.
Off of him just filming some shit.
Pretty much. And he used, as much as possible, he used the actual witnesses in the movie, the ones that had reported the encounters or the observations.
So real life people played themselves.
Real life people, real folk. And this tale is told over and over. You where people say, I saw that when I was a kid. Right. And, that ignited something. But up until about 2017, that's all it was for me. I was interested in it. It was a novelty, a curiosity, and I was a fan of the entertainment end of it.
Now, for people who let me interrupt you. For people who didn't see The Legend of Boggy Creek, what did that show? What did it tell? Was it a Bigfoot story? Was it?
Yes. Yeah. It was the Falk monster. Was the tag that they gave it back in the day.
Falk.
Falk, F-O-U-K-E, Falk, Arkansas.
Okay.
Scared me first say I thought I was going back into Facebook. YouTube jail.
For me, a Yankee would say Falk. Probably is that F-A-U-L-K? Is that what you're saying?
Falk.
F-A-U-L.
F-O-U-K-E.
Oh, F-O-U-K-E.
Yeah. Falk, Arkansas. The Boggy Creek and the Sulphur River bottoms, and he just went around and basically interviewed people and did some dramatizations, and it went nationwide in drive-ins and in theaters.
Yeah. Is that what the first major one?
That was the first major one. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
But up until about 2017, it was just an area of interest for me. I was, read up on it a little bit. I enjoyed movies and documentaries, but
what made the switch in 2017?
When you have your own encounter, or encounters plural, it'll change. It will change things.
Wow!
And you guys being cops, and you've got that natural, you've got this embedded investigative drive inside of you, and you want answers, and you have an experience like this. That lit new fires that started me on a path that I never expected being on.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Nice.
That's a nice segue. We always try to, Jerry, tie everything we talk about into police. People listen to us for police stuff and police-related type things. And I think you're exactly right. I think it's a big tie-in because I haven't personally had an issue as a cop, but I've seen some documentaries where officers were actually
a lot of law enforcement testimonies on Bigfoot, cryptid type of things. A lot of them.
A lot is the rural. They work in the rural settings.
Exactly.
Like out in the mountains, or wherever these Bigfoot things are allegedly hanging out at.
Now I've seen some Bigfoots in downtown Charlotte, but they were definitely fucking humanoid looking motherfucker.
Different species.
Hound dog, let's go and get this. Let's go and take a vote. You said allegedly happening, hound dogs. Are you not a believer?
I'm a skeptic who wants to be proven a believer. You have, like Jerry said, I'm a cop. I have to have proof, definitive proof that something is existing or exists or has existed.
At the end of the night, we're going to take a poll, and we'll have the same question, see if anybody's changed. If you change anybody's mind, Jerry. Okay. What about you, Rod Nader?
I'm one of those guys. Like, I think there's something going on. So if I heard definite proof, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm that kind of guy, Like,
right.
I think anything. I'm more like as 56 years old. I've seen shit I never thought I'd ever see. I never thought whatever, and I think anything's possible. Some of the stuff I hear, possible. I wouldn't bet on it, but it's possible. And if I heard tomorrow, like some of the things that I've researched a little bit because knowing you were coming on the show, it's very, very possible. And it could be from a lot of different things, a lot of different theories on how these things stay hidden. If they are indeed out there, and stuff. So we'll talk. I'm sure we'll touch base on all that. But so me. It could be, but a bear can stay hidden. I think a Sasquatch can stay hidden if you don't want to be seen. Yeah, and if a bear, a 400-pound animal can survive on whatever's in the woods, why can't some other type of primate? Mm-hmm. Now I'm a skeptical believer, Jerry.
Right. Same here.
I have been in the woods forever. Just how I found this place up Shoot Out Mountain by camping and fishing and. I personally, other than sitting on the front porch, we talked about the last podcast, so I'll say something again later about it, but I haven't had any encounters whatsoever. But I have been out there where I have not encountered people anywhere.
Right.
It's just so that can they go undetected? I would say yes, but you're the expert, so you convince us, brother.
Well, I sat down recently, and when I say recently, I mean within the last 6 months, with a legal pad and a pen. I said, what is it that I want to know? What am I after? So I broke it down into 3 tiers. First of all, since 2017, I have voraciously read on the subject.
All right. You got to dumb it down for us. You read a lot, is what you're telling me?
I read a lot. Okay. I have read a lot, and I've watched documentaries. Not big on many of the TV shows. Nothing wrong
voraciously. Voraciously through the fuck out of slow. He was just like...
Yeah, people listening to us are probably not very educated, so Jerry.
Gee, you just insulted the hell out of our fans.
Yeah,
what
way to go.
What's the matter with you?
What, all 3 of them? Well, tell y'all's wives, I'm sorry.
I can hear them unsubscribing now. Bing, bing. Fuck you, slow. Bing, bing.
I get that from y'all. I don't need it from my audience.
That's true. I apologize for slow, okay, everybody? Jeez.
Yeah, so do I.
Go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Slow is supervised tonight, so
yeah. There you go.
Well, Jerry, right quick, Jerry said he's got 3 tiers of stuff. So do I. Right here.
Yeah.
3 bottles.
You see how we think there.
Hound's showing 3 bottles of booze, folks, for people who can't see.
Yeah, 3
the thing
bottles
about
of
this,
booze.
he won't leave with 3 bottles of booze. He might be 3 bottles, but they'll be empty.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely be empty.
And we're sorry, Jerry.
All right, sorry, Jerry. Go ahead.
3 tiers, Jerry. Go for it.
3 tiers.
So anyway, all right. So I arrived at what I'm about to describe. First of all the things that I've been exposed to my whole life, but especially since 2017 when I started reading a lot, watching documentaries, was all the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of reports made, not just in the United States, not just in North America, but worldwide. And I have read about a lot of encounters. There's a couple of good books I'll throw out there. One of them is the Bigfoot Case book. In Kaiser, North Carolina, the South Mountains is well represented in that book.
And then that's where you're familiar with.
Yes, my South Mountains area is.
And there's a book out there called the Bigfoot. What was it?
The Bigfoot Case book.
Really?
And then the second one's called the Historical Bigfoot, which covers reported encounters all the way back to like 1700s.
Okay.
And then the worldwide encounters, and this entire body of all these thousands and thousands of people making these claims worldwide, not to mention the body of evidence that exists in footprints, photographs, videos. And I started thinking, okay, what are the explanations? What are the explanations that are available? And the template for the mainstream, for academia and for science is, well, people are making it up, or people are mistaken, or people are being hoaxed. That's the only explanations that they offer.
Either or, all of the above.
Either or, all of the above, exactly. And that doesn't make sense to me. When when you have read as much, I became consumed with it. I will admit, I backed off of it some. But when I have read thousands and thousands of reports and seen pictures of hundreds and hundreds of footprints and expert testimony on the footprints, and it just doesn't cut it for me that that's the explanation we're expected to go with. Well, people are dumb. They saw something they didn't see. It was a mistaken identification. They're making it up.
Right.
None of that cuts it.
That's clear. That's clearly what the government always says.
Right.
When they don't want you to talk about shit. That's
Just
not true.
About on any topic.
They'll say conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. And they always say you're uninformed, you're mentally ill, you're stupid. You know, you didn't see what you thought. Don't believe your eyes. And I get so tired of that, you know?
Exactly.
Especially when you have multiple, and you said thousands of sightings. And some people are crazy. We all know that, right? But some people are dead on balls, and they just said, listen, people in the woods now, I'm a city kid, but people know what a bear looks like. People know what a fucking pig or a wolf, and they'll know if a damn Sasquatch, a two-legged thing walking upright, they can tell it's not a damn bear. Distinct differences, right, Jerry? A bear's face from a Sasquatch's face, you know, the reports, distinctly different. More humanoid looking than bear looking, right? Isn't that right? Like facial.
Yeah, a bear has a muzzle.
Right, a muzzle sticking out like this. So the profile, you'd see this fucking like this. And a bear is just more like us. I mean, a Yeti's more like us, right? Like more of a flat. I don't know. I agree 100%. I can't. That's what they want to do. They always want to just discount it. And for so many years and so many people, that's why I say there's got to be something. And I'm just waiting for the day when something pops up. But I don't want to. But yeah, they just try to poo-poo it away with. You didn't see what you said.
Well, now you clean it up. Poo-poo it away.
That's Pride Month. I had to say poo-poo. Go ahead.
But I'll mention that template of things we're allowed to pick from when it comes to explaining this stuff a couple of times. But then the next tier, it was a weird series of events. I went to work at a small store there in Kaiser, and by then, I was well read on the subject. I'd educated myself pretty well. And the lady that owned the store called me, and she said, Fox Network is doing a documentary. They're going to set up here at the store. This is going to be their headquarters because Kaiser, we don't have a town hall. We're lucky to have a town. And
what's your population there? You know?
I don't know, 300, 400. There was more people in Kaiser in 1890s than there are now.
Oh, wow.
That's a booming metropolis compared to Shootout Freaking Mountain.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think 16. You count the vacation homes.
Yeah. 16 people, 16 homes.
So I talked to the producer in L.A., well, never mind, I'm not going to say that.
Land of Fruit and Nuts?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And I said, all right, I'll agree to
do show you say anything you want to.
I will agree to do this, but I would prefer to be silhouetted on camera, and I want you to disguise my voice. Not because I was worried about somebody calling me crazy, but you got to understand where I live. It's just like the mountain culture up here where you're at. They're very private, and there's some subjects that you just don't talk about, to include this subject we're talking about tonight. And so I did the interview. It's called Monsters Across America. I want to say it was season 2, episode 2 or episode 3. It aired in January 21, and they've silhouetted me. They didn't disguise my voice.
And you have a very distinctive voice.
He does.
And so by then, everybody in Kaiser knew it was that dude down at the store that was on the Fox network. And what that turned into was people. It was the craziest phenomenon ever. First, it was a trickle, but people started coming to me to tell me their stories. Oftentimes, they wanted to do it in private. They would wait. I would be at the store working. They would wait till the store was empty and talk to me. And that's where I'm at on this second tier. Is now I'm at the point of all of these dozens and dozens of interviews that I did. I got to look in these people's eyes. I got to read their body language, hear the inflections in their voice, and in some cases see the fear in their eyes. And I was able to eliminate a few people who were just obviously just shooting bull. But the great majority of them, all but 2 or 3, were telling me things that they believed. They believed they saw what they told me they saw. So now I'm wanting explanations for how these people, and though it's a small area, it's spread out, there's some of these people don't know each other. How are they coming up with these stories that kind of jibe together? There's similarities. These people didn't see bears. They know bears. They live at the South Mountains.
Exactly. That's what I mean. They live in an area. They know animals. They live up in these areas. So if they see a bear, they know it's a damn bear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's people are being hoaxed. I can tell you this, and I'll say this right now in front of God and the entire world. If you come up to the Kaiser area.
And God does watch this podcast.
He does. I'm sure he does.
He's a subscriber.
If you come up to the South Mountains area of Kaiser, southern Burke County, northern Rutherford County, acting a fool, walking through the woods hoaxing, you're going to get shot.
This is state of North Carolina.
This is state of North Carolina. You will get shot, and you will be left there.
Rightfully so.
And rightfully so. So the template of explanations doesn't satisfy me with these people that I've talked to, who I believe, all but a couple. Then we'll ratchet up one more notch. And then there's the experiences that I've had. The things that I've
personally.
Personally, with my own ears, saw with my own eyes, smelled with my own sense of smell. And we're not talking one or two or three things. We're talking about a bunch. I kept a log of everything for a while, and I have about 4 legal pads full. And I finally quit recording some of the things, like some of the sounds we hear at night. I'm outside every night, 365 nights a year. I have 12 dogs. And you know how long it takes to walk 12 dogs? 2 at a time.
That's kind of a story in itself. We'll skirt that, but 12 dogs.
And as time has gone on, and that these experiences just keep building. Now, these are things that I personally saw or heard. And I say smell just because there's a distinctive smell, and we smell it. We smell it a lot up there. It's a smell that can't be described. Once you smell it, you can't unsmell it. Matter of fact, it sticks in your nostrils for a while after it goes away. But they're certainly not going to convince me that I saw something I didn't see, or that I was hoaxed all these times over all these years. I'm an experienced outdoorsman. I have been all over western North Carolina hiking, camping, fishing. I was in the military for 13 years. I know the outdoors. I know western North Carolina. I know what you listen to at night, and I can identify the known sounds.
Sure.
A fox doing an alarm call, a bear hollering and growling. Whatever. I know these sounds. And all of these, hundreds of times I've heard these noises that I can't explain, and I can't say, hey, guys, I know what that is. And it's not just one noise. It's a set of noises. Some of the significant experiences that I had, there's some things that I'm not necessarily willing to talk about yet in the public eye. Mm-hmm. But I'll share a couple things with you.
How's more not Buffalo Trace?
Oh, I'm good. I've still got a little bit going on there.
We'll get enough in it. We'll
They're trying to get you to open up, Jerry.
You'll give it up. Yeah, you'll give me an open up. Rock throwing. If you've read up on the subject at all or seen some documentaries, you've heard of the rock throwing. Well,
yeah, Ernest T. Bass.
Ernest T. Bass I think Ernest T. Bass was part Sasquatch. There's people listening that don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Twice I've been involved in having rocks thrown at us. The first time was in November of 2020. A group of us did a camp out. We did a night hike.
It's not like you're in some campground.
No. This is a place where people aren't.
So you're just way out in the middle of nowhere, away from all people. No one, you didn't like telegraph, hey, we're going out this weekend to do this. So no one could just come upon you and know you're going to be there and screw with you.
I will let you all beat the piss out of me before I'll go into a campground, ever. But anyway.
Me too.
we had experienced a few things that night on the hike, and as we had reversed course, and we were heading back to camp, and as we went down in elevation, from our right, we were in ranger file. There was 5 of us, and we were in ranger file.
Now, when you say we, are you at liberty to say who we are? Or?
Well, there was 4. There was me and 4 other people. One of the people there was somebody I trust implicitly, and he was somebody I grew up with. He's an outdoorsman, and I knew that. And the other guys I trusted them too. And
all right, let's just say, so you guys it wasn't like Dirty South Sasquatchin going out.
No.
Bigfoot hunting.
No, this was before I met the.
So you're just out in the woods.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
And, we had planned this out. But from our right, And to our right, there was an area that had been clear cut about 7 years previously. It's very thick. You'd have to get on your hands and knees to crawl through it. But when I heard the sound of something crashing through the tops of the trees, I knew something had been thrown. And it was a rock. It was a huge rock. And it came in not like a baseball throw, but like a mortar round on a high arc. And it landed between me, and I was at the back, and the next guy who was in front of me, and it hit the ground. It was heavy enough, it dented the ground. It didn't roll but a couple of rolls.
Oh, so you actually seen the rock?
Yes, and it came out of nowhere. And
So
we know this. Something threw that rock. That rock didn't pick up and throw itself. The likelihood of hoaxers being out there and we wouldn't have detected them, I mean, that's nil.
Okay, can I ask you one question, Jerry, while you're on this? All right,
Sure.
So when the rock was thrown and it hit the ground, before that, did you hear anything that sounded suspicious?
Nope.
Did you smell anything that was like, damn, what the hell is that smell?
No, the last suspicious thing we had heard had been like 30 minutes earlier.
After they threw that rock, you just smelled something.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, one of the people involved asked me to hike them out of the woods when we got back to camp and said they were done.
Oh, really?
Was the rock pretty good sized rock? Was it?
Oh, yeah. It was up over 10 pounds.
Oh, really?
So it's not a rock that maybe Rodney could throw over treetops, but nothing that.
Yeah,
There would have to be shot putted or something, yeah.
Yeah, and after thinking about it, it would have had the source of this rock would have had to been on yon side of this area that had been clear cut. So you're talking 50, 60 yards.
Wow.
And that's a long way to throw a baseball for the average person, or a football.
Sure.
Which doesn't weigh 10 pounds.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And I have the rock to this day. I have it in my house. I keep it inside my house.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then another rock throwing incident happened last summer. A friend of mine and I were riding in his brand new Jeep, one of these hard tops. What are those hard top Jeeps made of? Are they fiberglass? Are they carbon composite? What are they?
Yeah, I think it's some type of carbon composite. It's not fiberglass.
And we had found a footprint under an old bridge in the South Mountains area. It was on a dirt road. And it was a footprint that was on a sandbar, and it was exactly in the middle of the sandbar. It was about 17 inches. It was sunk about three inches into the sand. And from water's edge to the print was 4 feet. From the footprint to the neck to the water's edge on the other side was 4 feet. So you have one footprint.
It's quite a gate.
Which would be more than a 4 foot stride. And so we took pictures of it and thought about it. It would be hard to hoax that without leaving footprints behind, because it was in the middle of the sandbar. And so we got our pictures and we left, was going up the dirt road, and a rock came in and it hit the top of that Jeep. At first, I thought we'd been hit by a small arms fire.
Really?
That's how loud it was. And
when it hit?
When it hit. And my friend that was driving said, no, in my peripheral vision, I saw the rock bounce. And I said, well, let's stop and look at the top of your Jeep. He said, how about let's not stop and look at the top of my Jeep?
Smart man.
And we got back to my house, and we looked, and it had left about a 2-inch gouge in the top of that. And sure enough, his assessment that it came from the right to the left was true because of the direction of the gouge. Mm-hmm. And I'm still assuming here, but I'm assuming it takes a lot to gouge the top of one of those Jeeps. But it sure did.
Mm-hmm. Well, before you go home tonight, or whatever you're doing tonight, Jerry, go out there and gouge a big old thing in Steve's Jeep. See how hard that is. That way you can have...
Well, you're going to say, if he keeps these stories up, he ain't going home. I'm going to lock the doors, won't let him out. I stay here by myself.
And when I go home tonight, every chance I get, I take that route home. Down that dirt road, across that old bridge, across that creek.
Trying to get another sign?
Because, you're never going to make any discoveries sitting on the couch in the living room.
Doing a podcast.
Or doing a podcast. But a podcast is a good way to get the word out.
We got to get the word out, man, and let people know.
Inspire other people to get out in the woods. Because these couch experts that watch Finding Bigfoot and all that, they're our biggest critics.
Oh, well, that ain't going to happen, and they won't walk around the block.
The people on the sideline are always the biggest critics of whatever someone's doing. Yeah.
between them and academia and the scientists, they're right there with them. They know all there is to know because they've seen the shows on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But those those rocks were thrown. Something threw them. So you look at the explanations. What are the possibilities?
Mm-hmm. And there's not many that could throw a rock that's 10 pounds that distance.
Exactly.
I mean, that's heavy. 10 pounds is heavy.
Yeah. Talking about the TV shows that people watch and, become critics on, that's what gets me, because some of those shows, one in particular, I don't guess I will name the name of it, is every little thing that happens, it's a Bigfoot. It's Sasquatch. He just farted. Did y'all hear that? He just farted. Sasquatch just farted. Man, did you hear that twig break? Sasquatch. That was who it was. I know that's who it was. It was Sasquatch. And man, come on, man, really? Mm-hmm. I don't think every little noise in the woods is a Bigfoot Sasquatch.
Yeah. Exactly. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of discipline to go out there and sit and be quiet.
Yeah.
And also to process the noises you hear. Because there's a lot. When I go out in the woods, my novice fucking no woods, no one ass goes out in the woods. I hear a lot of shit. I don't know one thing from another. Like half the stuff I hear, you'd probably say, oh, that's a cricket, or that's a this, or that's a that. I don't know what they are. I just hear noises.
I'll tell you, along the same lines, Rod, and there, I do a lot of hiking. I go, I'll be on trail, go off trail, then I'll hit like these game trails. Yeah, and I always leave, I've got a little GPS point thing. I leave little points with this. So if I'm away, there's no way I can't find my way back. But anyway, sitting in the middle of the woods, man, you start looking by yourself, like, wow. Then you hear all the birds, you hear the crickets, you hear all the stuff. Then all of a sudden you hear nothing. You're like, huh.
Yeah.
Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true, because that happens to me on I'm not a outdoor, I'm not a woodsman kind of guy. I just live basically in the woods. And I can go outside sometimes at night and hear the crickets and, the chirping, the frogs and all that stuff. Then all of a sudden it just goes deathly quiet. And, of course I'm thinking, why is everybody quiet? What happened here? What has changed to make everything deathly quiet? And it's an eerie feeling. It really is.
Yeah.
And you can sometimes feel it like you have a sixth sense.
Yeah.
I have been in the woods, feel like I'm being watched.
Yeah.
You get that feeling.
Yeah.
I've seen some shows too.
Right.
I used to be into sharks and stuff. I mean, long story short, sharks will be feeding in an area, and then when a big monster shark comes, all those other sharks will leave the area when the monster shark comes. And my point being is maybe all those animals sense something around, and they become quiet because big whatever's coming.
See, but you would think. Jerry, this is your show, man. This is your expertise. Tell us. I'm out back now. I've got the bird feeder stuff out by the pond. I'll sit there, and the birds pay me no attention. They'll get like within 3 feet of me. They're just used to see me out there. You need to know I'm drunk. About passed out, but they pay me no cent. They pay me no attention whatsoever. Same thing with the chipmunks. They'll run right by my feet, so I can see like a bear or these animals out in the woods. Why would they act any different? It's just called Bigfoot comes by unless
Well, you're a part of their normal environment, and they have learned from your behavior that they don't perceive a threat from you.
Yeah.
So so many accounts where the witness would say, well, things went quiet, and then we saw whatever we saw, or we heard whatever we heard. Mm-hmm. The animals know to be afraid for some reason.
So, I guess Bigfoot would be a, what do you call it, Class A predator?
Apex predator.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for.
Yeah, apex.
Big word.
Yeah.
Okay. Top of the food chain out there.
Yeah. Because, sometimes when one of our cats will get out and I'm looking and I see them and I go to look, they'll stop dead in their tracks when they hear me coming. Like, you know what I'm saying? Animals will just stop, and they'll just and then they'll assess, and then they'll either run off or do something. But I just know, like, these big predators, when they come into areas, man, other guys get the hell up out of there quickly, leave the area. So I could see them being quiet because who knows what Bigfoot? I'm pretty sure if he's like we think he is, he probably he's one of those dudes that all wildlife would probably avoid. In one way or the other, because He might be. I know he eats. Tell us about his diet. Do we know what his diet is, or supposedly what his diet is, Jerry?
I think Slow said it earlier. If a bear can survive, so can a bigger mammal.
We're guessing what he eats, right? He could be a carnivore. He could be a omnivore. He could be any of those things.
Yeah, opportunist. I think he would eat anything he possibly could come across.
And there's evidence of deer predation, and I have personally saw that evidence within the last few months. I guess since I said that, I'll describe that to you. 2.5 months ago, a friend of mine went on a hike, and we found an area where we found 4 different deer kills, various stages of decomposition, in a concentrated area, less than a half an acre, which is unheard of. And the freshest of the deer kills, there was still meat on some of the parts. But the torso, the ribs were crushed, and some of the ribs were broken. The 2 front legs were still connected by meat and muscle, but they had been pulled off from the torso together. The back legs were still attached to the torso. The head was separated, and it was about 15 feet away. And the unusual thing about all of the deer kills that we found that day, none of them had been gnawed on by the small mammals. If you find bones in the woods, you'll find that the small mammals have gnawed on the bones for the calcium, and none of them had been gnawed on. We also found that day the remains of a large dog. It was down to bones, but it's huge pelvis. It wasn't a coyote, too big to be a coyote or even a wolf. It was a large breed of dog, and again, that was in a very concentrated area. And about a month ago, another friend of mine went on a separate hike. We went on a separate hike, and we found another deer. Same deal. The torso, the ribs had been kind of crushed, and some of them were broken. There's no natural predator out there that could do that. A bear would.
Bigfoot likes ribs.
Exactly.
I like ribs.
Yeah, I love ribs. I just had ribs the other day. Yeah, deer ribs though. Wow.
Take a tremendous amount of force to take that deer and crush its torso like that.
And pull its head.
Yeah, and I can't think of anything out there that would do. The bear would do that. He would just kill and eat.
And a bear wouldn't kill a deer anyway. Bears generally don't do that. That's a pretty good rule of thumb.
So did you examine the bodies of the deer to make sure there wasn't like a bullet hole or anything like that?
Yeah, we looked at both of those fresh carcasses over thoroughly. And you would think between the two of them, if it had been shot, normally you're going for a heart shot, and there was no evidence of any bullet wound.
And they wouldn't be crushed ribs.
Right, and then if it was shot, you would have to explain the crushed ribs.
All right. What about the internal organs? Were they still there intact, or
No,
were
they
they
were all
missing?
gone. They were gone.
Right.
Everything was gone except for meat on the bones and the meat holding those 2 front legs together.
Okay.
There was still some meat on the skull.
Wow.
And I've never seen anything like that in my
But the
entire
head was
life.
detached, you said, right? The head was detached.
The head
separated
was
from-
detached.
Yeah.
On the second one we found, we didn't find the head.
Oh, really?
But
So the heads were missing on both. Just one when you
the
found
one previous, the head was detached, and it was about 10 feet away.
It makes sense that the same thing that did one did the other because they did the
You
same
would
thing to
think.
both.
So
Exactly.
did you get? I guess you got pictures and photographic stuff.
Yeah, we took
Okay.
pictures and
All right. Good.
of even
So what are your thoughts on what it might have been?
It's a good question, Slow.
there's just no explanations that they offer us.
And what I do like about you, you'll say that. You don't like, let's not Hound Dog say, oh, well, it had to be Bigfoot. Everything's Bigfoot. It's got to be Bigfoot. So I like your in-depth observations,
Yeah,
and
I do
still
too.
you're critical of the outcome of what
But
happened.
what he's saying to me, without saying it, is it may be a Bigfoot. And the reason I'm thinking that because, like I said it a couple times, the head's detached. What the hell kind of animal, pulls the head off the fucking thing, then crushes its ribs, and then and tears it up like that. Like I don't know. It just seems like most animals just go for the throat, right? The throat kill. Most of them, at least the ones I see the nature shows, they go for the throat and they take it out, and then they start eating, and then they leave, and it's basically intact right there. It's just been hollowed out, like they just eat right there. They don't pull the head off and crush ribs,
Right.
They just eat. So, and when you find 2 kills with the same MO, if you will, using a cop term, the same type of kill, just like a serial killer. If a serial killer uses a knife for his kills, right?
Yeah.
And you have a serial killer kills 8 women in a beach area, and they're all killed with the same blade. It's probably the same fucking guy, right?
Right.
So if you have an animal being killed in the same way, the same suspiciously
In the
weird
same area.
way, same areas in a weird way where you haven't seen before, then you've got to think it's an anomaly or it's a special kind of predator out there or a different kind of predator that we might not know about. It might just be that Bigfoot type of predator. So
Yeah.
Right.
There's
So
no
these-
explanations in the. There's no explanations that are readily apparent for that.
right.
All right. So these kills were how close were they together? I mean,
Oh, they were within a half acre. All of them.
Oh,
of each
really?
other.
That close?
But in different stages
Wow.
of.
Different stages. They were
They
killed
could
at
just-
different times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, that was remarkable. I've never seen anything like that in all my years of hiking and camping in Western North Carolina. Never seen anything like that.
And this wasn't in somebody's backyard. This
No,
is
no,
out
this
in,
was
out in the woods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
this,
the other
and,
thing.
and it was also in an area where if, there's a technique that the Native Americans would use where they would funnel the game into a tighter and tighter space. And this would have been an ideal area for that because it was near a holler, a creek bottom that was surrounded on both sides by very steep hills.
Okay.
So I thought that if you're going to do that whole funneling technique, this would be a good place to do it. And they would
So-
have to kill it by hand.
Yeah.
So what's a holler for our fans who don't know what a holler is?
You're the only one that don't know what it is, Rob.
I'm asking for my fucking self, but I wanted to blame it on our fans. Because
It's
Slow
like
said
a
our
small
fans are not
valley.
that smart, so I wanted to blame it on our fans.
It's a small valley, and usually there's a creek running in the bottom of it, surrounded on two sides by high ground.
I got you. So running them in there would it's like an area they can't go through. They would have
Yeah,
to
it's-
stop. They'd be corralled.
I have never ever thought along that same process, but if you look at a geographical map, you can see how that would actually work.
And the Native Americans use that technique.
That's
And
interesting.
modern hunters still use it, where you'll have what they call chasers or pushers, and then you'll have hunters who remain static in one place, and the chasers or pushers push the game in a funneled area toward the guys with the guns.
Sure.
And the guys with the guns then, once they see the deer,
Well, think about us too when we're kicking doors in. We say you don't want to get in the fatal funnel.
Yeah, fatal phone.
Right.
You want to
Yeah.
get out of the doorway. You don't want to stand in the doorway. You want to go in. You go. You're in and you cut right, you cut left, but you don't stay in the doorway.
exactly.
It makes life makes a lot of sense.
That's very interesting. It's a very interesting point.
And I will tell you, I won't mention the names because I don't have the permission of any of the people that was with me in October when we camped out. And we did a night hike.
All this is the same area.
This was the same area, October of this past year. And about 9:30 that night, we camped in a creek bottom. We camp in the creek bottom because it's kind of a funnel for sound. You can hear things around you, even though
Like an amphitheater.
right in this particular bottom, the creek is really small, so the sound of the water doesn't obscure your hearing.
Now, do you deliberately put yourselves in particular locations that would give like a predator a leg up? Like you're in the basin, you got a little high ground around you where. Does that make sense? what I'm saying?
All roads point to where we're at.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
And the night hike is a really important thing in this whole process. And so we went on our night hike. And 10 minutes into the hike, we heard a wood knock or a tree knock. And for those unfamiliar, that's where you just hear the sound of wood hitting wood. And I've heard hundreds of those since 2017. In the
like,
middle of
I don't mean to
summer.
laugh. It's gay pride month. And that made
You
me
said
think-
wood hitting wood.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well,
Whoa, slow. That's not
I'm
like you.
sorry.
That's usually something
right
I
there.
would
That's
say.
right down your alley.
That's my alley.
I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
why you didn't. You didn't.
You're
think
in my
that.
lane. Get the hell out of my
I'm
lane.
sorry, man.
Stay
I'm
in your
sorry. Come
lane,
on.
Mr.
Put it in park,
Producer.
get on the curb.
We got to start on time. Just stick to that shit, okay? And push your buttons.
Go ahead.
Jesus Christ.
so, and when we heard that, and we traversed a ridge from west to east, we got to the east end of the ridge and we turned south, and we began to smell the smell that I spoke of earlier. It's hard to describe the smell. It's a mixture of some rotten flesh, maybe. If you've ever been around a pig pen and you smelled pig crap, some of that. Maybe a touch of skunk. But it's just
musky,
a very musky, very stinchy aroma. And we was inundated with that smell. And my advice to everybody is, all right, we're going to just stop and stay in position here. Everybody take a knee and we're going to listen. And one of the guys had just bought a brand new, very expensive scope for a rifle. He didn't have it on a rifle. He just had the scope. So we were listening, and I hear him say, Jerry, come here. He said, don't move the scope. Just look through the eyepiece. I've got it aimed where it needs to be aimed. And as I looked, and once you get used to seeing thermal, you know that there's a color that trees put off, which is generally the ambient temperature. And I saw the tree, and sticking out from both sides of the tree was a small thermal signature. There was definitely heat on both.
I can say heat signatures.
A heat signature, yeah. And I'm studying what I'm seeing, and it's not I know what a man's thermal signature looks like. It's hot. It's red and yellow. It's got it's very well defined. And so I'm trying to figure out what I'm seeing, and suddenly I see a face peek out from the side of the tree looking at me like this. And I'm not a man that's at a loss for words ever, but I was shocked. I was taken aback. And I said, I told the guy, I said, something just looked at me.
So you say face, what did you see?
I saw definite eyes and a very small heat signature, except some peripheral heat signatures around. In other words, it looked to me like a bare face with hair around it.
Because the hair would stop the hair would block the heat signature.
It's going to block some of the heat signature.
So the bare skin is the only thing that's going to show the heat signature on the scope, the thermal, and the hair would block some of it, so it'd be duller. So that's what you're trying to explain, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And the middle part of that signature was hot. There was definitely red and yellow.
And again, you didn't telegraph to anybody that you guys were going out. That
No, we
no one knew you were going there. So nobody could be there just hoaxing you or screwing with you.
By intent, it's not something that we ever advertise. We tell nobody.
So let me ask you this: the scope you were looking through, how far away was this thing from you guys? Would you say?
We went out a few days later and measured it, and it was 30 yards from us.
Okay, so you were looking through a scope, you saw something peek at you from about 30 yards away.
And I remarked to the owner of the scope, I said, something just looked at me from behind that tree, and he said, I know. I saw it do that twice. And so he manned the scope. The rest of us, I said, everybody just listen and watch. And for 15, 20 minutes, that smell was just overpowering. And
so you had the smell with the thing
yeah,
looking
the smell
from
was
behind the tree.
heavy duty.
Okay.
And he manned the scope, and he kind of kept a running play-by-play analysis, and then he said it's moving backwards. He said it's literally moving backwards away from us. And with it disappeared. There was a thicket behind it where that area had been clear-cut within the last 6 or 8 years, and it was very thick. And it finally disappeared from his view and got out of the range of the thermal. And within 45 seconds to a minute, the smell was gone.
After you last saw where it was moving, whatever this thing was moving away from you. Okay.
And then when you went and measured and went to the spot where he was, any signs, footprints, signs on the trees, anything like that?
No, but the leaf litter, we're in the foothills, but in the Appalachian foothills and in the Appalachian Mountains, the leaf litter is so thick, the only place you're going to find footprints are in creek bottoms and on rivers. So there was no evidence like that. So after we were satisfied that encounter was over, we backtracked and started heading back toward camp. And as we got back to that ridge, off in the distance, we could hear the distinct sound of something walking. Now, if you've spent time in the woods, you know the sound of something four-legged.
Oh, yeah.
Walking on the leaf litter versus something big that's four-legged. You know the sound of a deer. You know the sound of a bear. But it was the distinct sound of something walking on 2 feet off in the distance, and it seemed like that it was kind of shadowing us. We would stop.
No, was it a heavy type stuff? You say you can tell a squirrel, you can tell it's a deer. but you can tell when something has a more heavier footprint or
These were
longer gait.
These were heavy, distinct footfalls separated by a significant amount of time between footfalls. And we picked up the smell a couple more times, and finally we stopped hearing it, we stopped smelling it, we went back to camp, we ate, we kind of talked about the events, and we went to bed. 3:30 in the morning, we were woken up again by the wood knocks. And to our west, I'm going to estimate by sound, we're talking between 50 to 60 yards away from to the south of us. Rather, I said.
What is your theory on wood knocks? What for our listeners and for us too? Why wood knocks and what's your theory on?
It would have to be some kind of communication. That's the only thing I keep coming back to. Some kind of
I'm over here. Type thing.
Oh, and what is he using a limb to hit on a tree? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah. Now and I have pictures of the tree on that very ridge that we found where the bark has been beat off that tree about 7 foot up, and we found another tree in the same general area. Same thing.
7 feet up. 7 feet up.
Yeah. And at the base of the tree, there were several sections of limbs that had, when they were broke green. They were alive.
That's interesting.
And you can tell by the splintering. But the wood knocks woke us up, and maybe 10 minutes had passed. And south of us, up on high ground, we could hear walking. A couple minutes later, east of us, we heard walking. And then north of us, we heard walking. And this was far enough into the woods where we couldn't pick up a thermal. But you could, and it was as though the sources of these sounds were walking in a circle around us. And I listened to it for 20 minutes.
You think it was maybe stalking you?
Maybe trying to scare us. Maybe curious. I don't know. But I was in my own tent. We all had our own tents, and I guess I was tired. I fell asleep. But 2 of the members of the party stayed up the rest of the night.
Jerry, I'd have been spooning your ass all night.
It's Pride Month.
That is quite interesting because you would think that we look as alien to them as they do to us. All right, guys, I've got to make a director type question here. We're at 52 minutes. Do you want to guys continue this on, or you make it a 2-part thing, or what do you want to do?
Yes, continue.
Just continue this podcast.
Yes.
As one complete podcast.
Yep.
You got time, Jerry?
Oh yeah, I got all the time in the world.
All right, go ahead.
I'm retired.
Me too.
We 4.
Yeah.
I wasn't really terrified or anything because out of all those
I wasn't until now.
All those stories that I heard from the different people, the natives of the area, and I'm talking some of the people that came to me and told me their stories were old men. I've never heard one story of a person being hurt. The closest thing to that would be the rock throwing. And plus, 2 of the guys in the group were very well armed. I was deployed in the military less well armed than they were.
Wow. That was one of my questions. Have you guys got in the woods? Do you go armed?
I was more worried that they may start shooting and get me than the booger. And that's the southern word. Rod, I don't know if you've heard that one, but a booger is any monster that can be in the woods.
I usually thought it was a monster in your nose. But
yeah, right.
Can be too.
So I was more worried about being shot than being kidnapped by a Sasquatch or something.
And boogernized.
Yeah. So let me. I want to go back on one thing, Jerry. Whenever the thing picking out from the tree or whatever was behind it, and you was looking through it through the thermal scope, right?
Right.
Okay. Was you recording that?
No,
somehow?
He had just gotten it. And if he had, there was no forethought there with the recording. That would have been the epic.
It would have been.
That would have been epic.
Yeah.
And he got it out of the package, packed it up, and headed to my place. But now he has since figured out how to get it to do its thing with his phone or tablet or whatever.
Okay.
Now these guys that we mentioned, the guys that let me in the group, the Dirty South Sasquatchin guys, they are armed with all that equipment. Thermal, FLIR, night vision, everything's dialed into iPads, audio recorders. And getting back kind of on track with the things that they've showed me with the evidence they've collected with pictures, videos, audio, blew my mind. more than anything else up to date. And these guys aren't putting this on the internet. They aren't sharing this stuff, which goes in with that. You know, these are guys that I know. I know these guys. I trust them. And the things that were offered to explain the things they've captured on camera and the audio recordings they made, the available explanations that are from the pool of acceptable explanations just don't cut it.
I met Marion down at the Bigfoot Festival, and you guys were nice enough. One of you guys was showing me pictures. Is that something I can comment on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the festival, and do you remember the guy's name?
Tim.
Tim, he was showing me things, and he had this notebook type thing. He starts flipping through, showing me different type pictures. And what was very interesting was they're trapping these raccoons, and you see the trap, and it's a date and time stamp, and I don't know the time. Let's say 1 a.m. And then like at 1:10, it shows a big furry type. You'd think it's like a furry jacket or some type of furry thing standing in front of the camera at 1:15, and at 1:18 it's gone, and then the trap is empty. The raccoon's gone.
Yeah, it was actually
that just blew my friggin' mind.
The same minute that the camera recorded the fur coat in front of it, for lack of a better way of saying it, that same minute the fur coat exited the view of the camera and the raccoon was gone.
Yeah, that just blew my mind. Like,
Wow.
like one of two things. It appeared to me like it's kind of like throw it to cop stuff. You know, you have a camera, and there's a guy going shoplift. Another guy stands from the camera to block the view of the shoplifting, and then they both leave, as if one's blocking this camera. They have enough sense to know the camera's there, and then they're gone, and the raccoon's gone. I'm assuming. They took it for consumption.
So
for food.
Was it two things or two whatever? Or was it
it's
one?
hard to tell from the picture, but it's definitely at least one thing that's got a lot of hair.
Yeah, it's
blocks the
definitely
camera.
furry. It's really furry, whatever this is, and the camera blocks the view of the camera. Then, of course, minutes or so later, when the next frame or whatever, it's gone, and the raccoon's gone out of the trap.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, quite unexplainable.
Yeah, these guys have collected an incredible body of evidence over the years. Now you're talking. They spend tremendous amounts of times out in the wilderness, and all over the eastern United States, and their stories and all the things that they've collected in terms of evidence is just mind blowing. And they haven't released most of it because they're in it for answers. They're not in it for publicity or money. And once they let me in and started revealing these things to me,
and you had to be accepted.
Yes.
It wasn't like you just walked, hey, I want to be with you. And you guys go like, okay.
Yes.
They were a courting type phase. They courted you to see if you're going to fit in or whatever.
There was. One guy came out and took me. We did an investigation, as some of them say. And then the next time, a second guy and the first guy came out, and I went with them. And then we met for dinner one day, which to non-mountain people, dinner is the noontime meal. Supper is the nighttime meal. We met for dinner, and they basically told me, okay, you can be part of us. And we've got a extraneous member from Canada who is she's a Native American. She was born in the Southwest, but her parents moved to Canada when she was at a young age, and she is one of the leading authorities on cryptids that you'll ever talk to in your life. Her name, and I can say her name is Robin Moonshadow. And you can find her on YouTube. But talking to her, she's been to my area. She's come to my place twice. And the favorite place for these guys to go out of all the locations in eastern United States are the South Mountains of North Carolina.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Because they rarely leave disappointed without at least something.
Okay.
And nobody is going to convince me that these accomplished outdoorsmen who have all this experience are just seeing things that aren't there, or they're being hoaxed, or they're making it up because they're not.
And when you say South Mountains, you're talking about a very, very copious type, vast forest.
Yeah, the South Mountains are 100,000 acres.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about all the wilderness on the periphery, you're going to add another 75,000 acres.
And your weekend warriors, they just go and hit the falls. There's a really nice falls there at the main hiking thing. Yeah, they're not getting off trail. They're not seeing off the beat trail. And I sent photographs to Jerry. You know, I'm at South Mountains and I'm hiking and I get off trail, do a game trail, and come across what I guess you would describe as a Bigfoot structure. And I sent you pictures of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I want to get
suspicious
into that, too.
stick structure that it doesn't look natural is what I would call it.
And that's when they're going like all kinds of which ways and stuff like that, right?
Hey, and Hound Dog, I know you have them social media, man. Maybe we can post those pictures that I took and on there to support
man.
this
Send them to me.
podcast.
Send them to me. I'll post them. But on the structure thing, can I not just be limbs breaking off a tree higher up and falling and just landing willy nilly ever how they land? And it has to be a structure.
Well, yeah, that goes back to the people that see the monster hiding behind every tree.
Right.
A telltale sign that something's just not quite right is when you see trees that are brought in from outside that immediate area to be incorporated into the structure.
Like it may have a root ball or.
Right, and you can, it's not from that immediate structure. It's not a mere limb. It's an actual tree, a small tree that's been pulled up and brought, and placed real tactically into a notch, into a fork or something.
Yeah, and the pictures that I took, they are. It's not like wind blow or snow load. They're actually laid in different directions, and you got to see it. I'll send it to you. I know we'll get it posted.
Yeah, but I just have I don't know about the structure thing. I just think limbs, help. A damn tornado can pop up anytime, any place,
Right,
and drop a limb in a weird location.
the majority of the ones I see on the internet aren't anything other than nature.
Blowdown. Blowdown's pretty much all the trees are blown in one direction.
Yeah, I understand what blowdown is, but came through Gastonia 3 weeks ago, freaking tornadoes, and all the trees that they got knocked down were not knocked down in the same direction. They were knocked down, all kinds of crazy directions. And why couldn't that be the part of a structure?
Right, and
Good point. Hondo.
people will see, every sound's a monster. Everything.
We'll
they
be after
see.
this show.
So I got a question. So a Bigfoot structure that you think is a Bigfoot structure, how is it built? Like something we would build to get inside?
Yeah. It's not necessarily a structure for getting shelter.
Well, it's to lay on or something? You're saying just
I think it's more. I think that the real ones, and they're few and far between. I think that they're more of some kind of communication, a signal.
Or like marking a trail or path.
Marking
or
a trail,
something
exactly.
Like that. I can go with that.
And those
more
are
than a
few and
structure.
far between. I've seen a few with my own eyes that made me question. Okay, that kind of that doesn't look natural. That looks like it was done with intelligent design. And then you come into the area of tree breaks, and I've seen several dozen tree breaks. That's when you have a tree that's 3-6 inches in diameter. I made that word up just now.
That's Buffalo Trace talking.
No, that's a slow ride word.
Yeah.
in diameter. That's just broken over at around the 6 to 7 foot mark. Now it's broken green. In other words, the tree's alive. Do you know how much pressure it takes to break a green tree?
A lot.
And I've seen a lot of those, and I'm more of a believer in the tree breaks than I am the tree structure, the structures. And I've personally found those, and like I say, several dozen times over the years.
And what's your thoughts on those?
Okay.
What do they have a meaning or?
I emailed the guy because there was a point when I didn't have anybody to talk to, and his name is Lyle Blackburn, and he's wrote some books, and I just emailed him this question and some pictures. He said, if you can go back in your memory or go back to the spots, you will find that all of those tree breaks, the tree is broken and it points toward the nearest body of water, the nearest creek.
Huh.
And to my amazement, he was right. At the time, there was.
So if the tree's broken,
certain,
wherever the tree's pointing, there's water.
right, the top of the tree that's broken and laying on the ground points toward the nearest body of water.
Yeah, and actually with that, Native Americans, way back when, they used to bend trees to point towards bodies of water, caves, or
I've
whatever.
seen those Hound Dog at the Kings Mountain. They have a 16-mile loop. And I've seen 2 of those trees. Didn't know what it was until I researched it and seen a documentary on that very thing.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's very the tree comes up, turns, and then goes back up.
Yeah.
Very unusual pattern.
Yeah, I got one of those in my yard, my side yard right now. It's kind of goes.
Probably pointing to your bourbon cart.
It is, bastards.
Yeah.
Well, there's water in bourbon.
Right.
And while we're on the subject of Native Americans, I put a lot of stock in how far back the lore and the knowledge goes on this subject with Native Americans. Mm-hmm. Every major Indian tribe, every Native American tribe in North America has a word, at least one word for Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Matter of fact, Sasquatch is derived from a Native American word. Mm-hmm. The Cherokee have 2 words for it. And the descriptions and things that are in the lore match. So why are the descriptions and why are their names in the Cherokee language here in the eastern United States? And why do those match so much of, say, Native American tribes from the northwestern United States?
Who has no way of communicating at that time in history.
And see that would make somebody like me be more of a believer, because there's no fucking assholes back then when the Indians were around. They just did shit. They did shit to survive, and they weren't there to make money or to make hoaxes
Or to be
They're
famous.
living like a
Americans.
Sasquatch who live off the land.
Right, but I'm saying Indians were truthful like about shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? When they wrote stuff on the side of caves and stuff, it was them killing a deer. You know, the stuff they would do, they would kind of a historical record, if you will, or something.
They wasn't there. They wasn't there to become famous.
Right. They weren't there for hoaxes. So I would believe a damn Indian back in the day who draws a picture of a fucking Sasquatch on the wall and say, I would believe he saw that.
Yeah,
because again, Indians know animals better than
Hey,
that's
but
what
God
they kill.
bless the Native Americans. They introduced it to corn, and corn led to whiskey.
Yeah,
God bless them.
God bless them.
that's true.
I'm going to pour another one for that. That's just what
I'm trying to open a damn bottle. and I can't
If you'll
do it.
pay attention to some of the totem poles, pull up totem poles on your internet and just look at them, and you will see depictions in some of the poles of an ape-looking face with pursed lips as though it's whistling.
I've seen that. I've seen that on the internet. That's pretty wild.
And what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I have been, one of the sounds that I have heard in terms of my own experiences, a couple of times I have been whistled at in the middle of the woods.
Really, big boy.
Yeah. Now I would be flattered, if I thought that it was some chick whistling at me, but
It could have been a female Sasquatch.
That could have been.
and I don't want nothing to do with them because I'm afraid that things would get rough.
For you or them.
For you.
She may be the female, but you be the bitch. Is what you're saying?
Well, it would be rough. I don't even
cell
want to have
boss.
nightmares tonight.
She'd be a cell boss.
The Native American body of knowledge and lore on the whole subject is just, it blows my mind.
But they lived in harmony with these,
And it was an accepted fact of life for them,
like
according
the eagle, the fish, the whatever.
right. And Rod was mentioning the petroglyphs that have been left behind depict a big, much larger than a man, hairy thing.
Yeah, yeah. And those people are honest. They're not in it for anything. They just draw shit they fucking see. That's why I believe them. I believe all those hieroglyphics on the walls when they draw stuff. I believe all that stuff. Not to get off subject, but like the Egyptian people, when they draw all the stuff about the pyramids and they show like UFO looking things in the sky, like I tend to believe them. Like they saw that shit, like there could be some stuff like, see, that's why I'm one of these guys who are skeptical, but I believe there's other shit going on. You know what I mean? Because the people back then are confirming what we're seeing today, even though we do have some jokesters today, right? But people back then, humans back then, they had to kill things to survive. They had the winners. I mean, they were the real deal, and they didn't have any money or any skin in the game, like as Hound Dog was saying. So when they draw a big hairy son of a bitch that's 7 feet tall, and all the Indians are damn hairless except for the hair on their head, you know what I'm saying? You know it's something. It ain't a damn bear.
Yeah, there's something to it.
There's something to it. They're confirming there's something there. So that's the reason it makes me even more. I'm more apt to believe them than the people today, because there could be hoaxers today, right? But back then,
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Sure.
there were no hoaxer.
Amongst
Yeah, there were no hoaxer Indians. They were real deals. That's what I think. You know.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that, Rod. I agree with you 100% on that.
yeah.
I would like to add something here at this point, and you may know about it and articulate a little more. Watched a documentary where these, I'm assuming, if I can remember right, scientists said, if there is a unknown primate in the Appalachian Mountains, it's going to come to water. So they went to like 4 different places and collected water and found the DNA of an unknown primate. Because it's going to either poop, drink, bathe, whatever in the water. The DNA is going to be in the water, and they actually found the DNA of an unknown primate.
And
that's really curious.
That's something that's told over and over. And I was personally a part of a group, and we collected a piece of hair, and it was sent off, and it came back as unknown primate. That's cool. In the South Mountains area.
That's cool.
So if they know everything that they say they know, then how can they tell us, well, this is an unknown primate? Well, don't you know anything? Can't you tell us what this primate is? And they can't.
Yeah, and how can they keep telling you? You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you see. When you bring a piece of evidence that they're dumbfounded and they don't know what it is. You know what I mean? That hair.
A good segue, I think, this. And let me ask you this. Why is there not a body? Why have someone's not found any body of Sasquatch? Boom, here it is.
Here we go.
Historic record that there are, going back decades and decades, there's several instances where there was reports of the body being in somebody's possession. But if you or I wander off into these mountains around you here and we die, we will most likely lay there and rot and never be found.
Case point is, we were called back as a detective, called to the woods, and he found a skeleton that was scattered. The ribs are there, not crushed. The skull there was all scattered from the small animals eating and whatever on it. They found those type of teeth marks, whatever, the small animals eating it. But anyway, it came back. The DNA came back to a rest home, fellow that wandered off from rest home. It took 8 years to find that skeleton. And
you factor in if there are things out in the woods that have intelligence, or maybe they dispose of their dead, in a way similar to what we do.
Seen 14 bears in the wild, but I've never come across the carcass of a dead bear.
And neither have I. I've never come across the carcass of a bobcat.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So that's the big thing. That's what everybody wants, the body. Well, this day and age on the internet, if you come up with a body, most people are not going to believe it.
What was it, Area 57? Was that?
One.
Area 51.
Yeah.
Just like
most
it's not Studio 77, it's Studio 66.
and that brings us to the point of this. With the advent of the internet and where the internet is now, people say, why aren't there clear pictures? Well, there are. It's just that now, when you're looking at the entire internet, it's water everywhere and not a drop to drink. You don't know what to believe. I have seen, for example, the pictures that these guys have shown me that they have, and other groups similar to us, they've got some pretty good pictures.
Well, why
some of them are on the
internet,
but even those that are on the internet, who do we believe? Because with CGI and now AI, we really can't believe our own eyes when we're looking on that screen on the laptop.
Yep.
You can believe anything and everything that happens on this podcast.
Okay, well, I know that. Now, there is no doubt.
This shit to the
No
bank.
bullshit here.
There's no bullshit.
Especially that breaking story from last year of the woman that had the Sasquatch.
Oh, we found the daddy.
I know you said that, and I am tickled.
He's on a prior podcast.
Yep. He's actually
That's
a co-host.
exclusive.
Dobie dog.
That is
Hey,
exclusive.
it is funny, though. When we find the picture, he moves to Alabama.
He got
moves
the hell
out
out
state.
of, he's worried about child support. What the hell he's worried about?
That's suspicious.
Yeah. He's worried about child support.
We do make light of this, Jerry, but we're not making light of your
understand.
topic. And I'm a firm believer that something's out there. Case point. Now I'm sitting. I don't know, Hound Dog. We and I talked about this. I'm sitting on the porch, And
Yeah.
I showed Jerry a Google Earth of just the amount of wildernesses that I'm in the middle of.
Yeah.
And again, it's like it's textbook type things. You hear the crickets, you hear the birds, you hear everything going on. You hear this, and man, it's deathly quiet. Was my neighbor passing gas? I don't know what it was. I don't know, but it was devastating to hear this noise. I can't equate it to anything. Like you say, I know a bobcat. Roy introduces into the screaming of a fox.
Mm-hmm.
We knew all these woodly sounds, but something I never heard before, and something just totally took me by surprise. And it just shut the whole friggin' mountain down. Everything was just, you hear a pin drop. Mm-hmm. I got friggin' goosebumps thinking about it. It just popped up talking about it.
Mm-hmm. That being said, Steve, last night I was walking my dog, probably about 9:30 last night, and I heard a noise that I've never heard. It wasn't close. It was sound like it was probably a mile or so away. It wasn't mechanical. It didn't sound human. It was just a weird noise. And it kind of did me the same way. It made my hair stand up on the back of my neck, and I was like, man, what in the hell was that? My dog heard it, and he just kind of turned and looked off in the direction. And he just stared for a second. Then he turned around and, finished her walk. But it was just
Rufus?
weird. Yeah, yeah. It was the weirdest thing I've ever heard and seen or heard. And the crickets and all that stuff did not stop chirping and carrying on. It was just, I guess, because it wasn't that close, but it was at a distance. It was just weird, just really weird to me.
Well, whatever it was, it shut this side of the mountain down. I'm telling you, it was unbelievable.
From here, you heard it last night too.
Yeah, heard Rufus barking at it.
But it was just weird for me, man. That's never happened, and I would go out here and take him for a walk at 1:00 in the morning and never heard anything like that before.
What's your thoughts, Jerry?
The overwhelming majority of things that I've heard or that I've experienced have been sounds. And being an experienced outdoorsman, and I know these woods, I know these mountains. I know an animal when I hear it. I know the fox, I know the bear, on and on and on. And these unexplained sounds, you hear it once and it can do something to you. You hear it twice, but when you've heard it dozens and dozens of times, and it's not just one sound, there are different sounds. There's the wood knock. There's kind of a whoop, whoop. The first time I heard that, I was by myself at the bottom of my pasture next to the woods, and I was looking for it.
And now you have a farm. You're kind of like out in the middle.
Yeah.
You're out of the way. You're in the middle of nowhere with this farm and.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm looking for this animal that's unaccounted for, and I hear whoop. And that was way back in the beginning. And I went up that hill like I was 20. I woke up the next morning feeling like I was 90.
Yeah, I understand that.
There's the wood knocks. There's that sound. It's hard to describe. You don't hear it a lot. And other people have reported these same sounds, by the way, not only in my area, but across the board in North America. Like an ape's, and then there's a wail. I can't duplicate it with my voice, but it's a loud. It's in a low frequency, and it will scare the daylights out of you.
In case point is, I think we talked about this on the prior podcast. I sleep my windows open in the bedroom, and I hear a bobcat or lynx outside the window, and I thought, man, I'm in the middle of the night. I'm thinking I have to sleep. That's cool. Whatever that was, I heard on the front porch made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
And yet you got your freaking back door open right there. Like I'm looking right in the
Yeah,
back
I'm going
of
to
the
go
house.
close, man. I closed the
Fucking bear
front door
could come
here.
in your door, much less a fucking Yeti.
We have been having bears on their people's porches
You
and
told
decks and stuff
us.
for some
And
reason.
yet there's your door wide open. Come on.
Well, I got
in there,
Jerry and
Scooby.
I've got Buffalo Trace. I'm good.
Yeah, offer him a drink.
Yeah.
There's a noise that's hard to describe, but the closest I can come is saying you take a giant inner tube off of maybe an 18-wheeler, and you suddenly make a huge hole in it, and it just expels all the air at one time, and then followed by a growl.
Yeah, that'd be spooky.
And that's not a common noise that I've heard, but I've heard it a couple dozen times over the years. And then the whistle I've only heard twice, and that was creepy.
Wow.
And
All these in the same vicinity that you normally hang out
generally
in.
speaking, the same vicinity.
Guys, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. Everybody good? You good, Jerry? I know you got an hour and a half drive home. I mean, you're welcome to stay.
I'm good. Whenever you guys
Hey,
say we're gonna
drink up, big boy. You're welcome to stay.
Pride Month.
Yeah.
The whoop,
yeah,
whoop
I'm good.
one is the one that would scare me the worst. That's weird.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop, like,
and when you're by yourself
yeah.
in the dark.
Yeah. If I lived where you live, I wouldn't leave my house without a pistol or a gun on it. Ever. Walking my
But I
dogs
do
or
get solace in the fact that, like I said, of all the people I've spoken with, to include a lot of old timers, there's no story of a person being hurt other than having rocks thrown.
Yeah.
Not to say that if I encounter something and I'm by myself, that I'm not going to get out of there immediately, because I've done that several times.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel or do you sense that you're in the area that Bigfoot's in, and they have basically accepted you to the point of, you get a hoop, a holler, whatever it might be, the wooden knocks, that normally is a rod, hound dog, and I would go to the same area that you're in and not experience those because I don't know these creatures and we're going to ignore them or stay hidden from them. Where they accepted maybe you and your what do you call this? Is it a club? What is it?
Your tribe.
Research.
Tribe.
The research group.
Research group.
That whoop whoop's probably just like hey, what's going on, brother? Good to see you.
What's happening?
I think that it's just a matter of hearing these things doing their normal stuff. Because when strangers have come, like these couple of campouts I'm talking about, these were people that weren't there before, but yet they got to experience the same thing. I think that we're just seeing or hearing. They're just going about.
So I was going off the
business as
same analogy of the birds and the chipmunks out back. They pay me no attention. They're used to me. Kind of like Sasquatch be used to you guys. They might not be used to. Look at those mugs. Could you get used to those mugs over there?
I think that we're of little consequence to them.
Maybe amusement.
Amusement, at the most.
It'd be like, hey,
What do you
y'all,
think?
watch this shit. Don't throw this rock at them.
Well, why you think? Because do we appear frail to them? You think, or I mean, a 7 or 8 foot creature, that's massive and throw a 10-pound rock the length of a football field. I can imagine we would look like little old women to them.
Right.
But the problem they have, though, if they're that intelligent, is there's a shitload of us.
Right.
A shitload of us compared to them, because there ain't a shitload of fucking Yetis and Bigfoots running around if they do exist. They're small, probably small groups, but we're everywhere. Well, and they don't know it, I guess, because they're in the woods, and there's just so many humans in the woods. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Hey, put yourself in their position.
Yeah.
And they see a car for the first time. Would that not be like us seeing a spaceship, maybe? What?
Right. But when they see it, when they see a car, though, they're going to know, like, well, damn, that's some, as like when we see a spaceship, we're like, well, that's some technology that we have no fucking idea what's going on. So maybe that's why they stay out of sight with us.
That's a good point you brought up, Rod. Are they intelligent?
Well, there's a number of interviews that I've done where the report was that the people were just riding up the road at night and they saw something by the road. I think the first podcast I mentioned the elderly couple that was going up Dirty Ankle Road.
I think about them all the
Dirty
time.
Ankle?
You remember Dirty Ankle
Me some
Road?
dirty
Yeah.
ankle. Yeah.
Didn't you send a picture of that? What would you do? I
sent a picture of
Yes.
the road sign to you,
Yeah.
I believe. And both this man and woman were in their late 70s, early 80s, and they were terrified, especially the woman. But he said that as they got close, that the lights silhouetted something standing on the right side of the road, and that he could tell that it had turned, and when the lights hit the eyes, they were glowing red. And his little wife was absolutely terrified. I felt so bad for her as he retold
that means
the story.
something. The red eyes. I can't remember what that is because different animals have different eye shine.
It depends on the makeup of the eye, the rods and the cones in the back
And
of
the
eye.
red eye. I can't remember what that is.
I have alpacas that give you a red eye shine when you hit them with light. I have alpacas that are green eye shine. There are animals A deer is going to be green. A coyote's green. A fox will give you an orange-red.
Well, what will give you a green color 30 foot in the tree?
A coon or a possum,
Okay.
most likely.
Yeah. I go out on my back porch at night, got all the woods back here behind the house, and I always shine my flashlight. I start out on the ground, see if I see any eye shine. Then I go up about 10 feet in trees. Then the other night, I hit about 30 foot up in a tree, and I saw two green eyes. I was like, holy crap, there's something up there. Then it would sit there and stare at me, then it would blink. I could tell that it blinked, which I was like, man, that's weird. I wonder what could be that high in a tree blinking at me.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, a coon or a possum.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Hound Dog. The nights that I do work, I come in, I get the flashlight, you go out by the pond, you just see what's hanging in the pond, and shine the lights and stuff. It's pretty cool. I do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you pay attention to the different accounts that come in, there's people that say they see these boogers with green eye shine and red eye shine, different parts of the country. There's a lot of theories on that, and I have no proof to offer one way or the other than to say I've seen both. I've seen the red eye shine, and you can extrapolate. You're looking, and you can tell that they're a certain level off the ground. And if you see green eye shine that's really close to the ground, that could be a raccoon, it could be a possum, it could be a skunk.
Yeah.
What are Bigfoot supposed to be? Red?
Both red or green.
Red or green, but that'd just be 7 or 8 feet in the air.
Right.
All right, guys, we're approaching an hour and 27 minutes. I think around 1:30 would be a good time to shit. I know you got an hour and a half drive. Rod gets up like 4 a.m. to go work out for some reason.
Because he wants to live a long life.
There you go. I want to be able to
I
run.
can't imagine getting 4 a.m. is going to make you live a long life.
I want to be able to run from the Yeti when I encounter that motherfucker.
Before closing, I do have a couple of questions. One is, prior to the podcast, I can't remember just sitting here in the living room or the pre-podcast meeting, you mentioned something about some dogs that have been hurt.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. 6 weeks ago, there was a dog in the area of the South Mountains that went missing, and it was a dog that generally stayed in the yard. It had an invisible fence, and it went missing. And they did a search for the dog. They found it in the creek alive with its back broke. Took the dog to the vet and asked for an explanation as how did this dog's back get broke, and the vet said, I have no idea. About a year and a half ago, and I personally saw the dog I'm about to describe, but this dog, it appeared to me that it had been slammed against a tree, and I say that because it looked like pieces of bark was in its hide on its rump. And I thought the dog was going to make it till the next day, and I was going to take it to the vet. And he died, and he had internal injuries. It had been slammed. Then it came to my attention that within the recent past there was another dog in the same general area, the same general thing. It had been somehow slammed to the ground or slammed against a tree, and it was alive, but then it succumbed to internal injuries. And I have a tough time coming up with explanations.
So 3 dogs killed the same way, same kind of injuries.
Kind of like the deer.
Reminiscent of those deer.
The deer
In close proximity of each other in time.
Because, when you're slamming them against a tree or something, they could be breaking ribs, and that could be the explanation for the broken ribs with the deers, as well. You know what I mean? And the dogs having slam marks. That might be the way let's just say, if it is a Bigfoot, takes it and likes to just pick stuff up and slam it. That's what I would do if I was a Bigfoot and I was strong and there was something yapping at my ankles and I was pissed off. Pick it up and slam it on a rock,
Yeah.
Note to self. Stay out
Don't
of
piss me
Gastonia.
off at you not
Yeah, stay out
mountain.
of Gastonia.
Slam slow on a rock in his yard. Maybe run you over with your mower.
I do have a question. One more question, and then we'll give you the mic to say anything you want to say. Why do you think the body has not been found? That is documented, and boom, here's the news. We found Bigfoot.
Right, a dead body.
Yes.
again, there's been reports in the historic record of bodies having been in possession of people. But if I am a creature like this, and I'm part of a group, and they obviously exhibited a lot of intelligence, then I'm not going to leave my own land in an area where it was killed.
And we don't ourselves as humans.
And we don't.
Yeah. They might do proper burials or have some kind of ritual of getting rid of them. They're dead. Or
Nature has a way of dispersing a corpse no matter how large. And I believe that there has been corpses found that we don't necessarily know about.
And I've seen this documentary, and you guys may have seen it too, where they took a dead deer, and staked it down and put a camera on, and they, and like within 2 days, it's just eaten down to nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Jerry, any last words, brother?
The theme is, I don't offer any hard answers, but I reject the explanations that they say we're allowed to have. And I've invited skeptics to come out, and I say, I'll get you set up in the creek bottom if you want to spend the night. And I've never had anybody take me up on that.
Well, I think you got two, maybe 3. I'd do it.
Well, I know you guys would. I'm talking these hardcore smart aleck skeptics.
Well, there you go. Look at them right there. They are.
I don't have the answers, but I know that based on the totality of everything that I've read, everything that I've learned, the things I've experienced, the things that I've had relayed to me firsthand, the things that the guys in this group, Dirty South Sasquatchin, have taught me, there are things, we don't know what we don't know. And science will not admit that. Mm-hmm. They will not admit it.
And that's our society for today. Think about it. Whether it's Bigfoots, they'll just whatever academia says it is, that's what it is. Everybody else is crazy. You don't know what you're UFOs, the same thing, right? The same exact thing with UFOs. Thousands of people see this shit, and they're going, you don't know what you're seeing. And I could go on and on with what's
think
happening
about
right
this
now
for a
today.
minute. With what academia and science tells us, tacitly they're saying we've got everything figured out.
Can you spell that?
They're saying they're saying science
spell it
has
slow?
all the answers. There's no answers that can come from outside of the accepted body of answers.
Right.
And they're tacitly saying we know everything, and we do not know everything.
Right. And I'll give you another one, the medical field. You go to your doctor and you have something wrong. He wants to give you a prescription from a pharmaceutical company. That's the treatment. He doesn't want to fix it. He just wants to treat your symptoms as far. Yeah. But there's all these natural remedies that you have at all these different places that can help you. There's a whole nother section.
It's unbelievable what's in the woods.
Yeah. Right.
All right, guys. Any last words? Any new thoughts? Have we changed your mind on anything?
Bigfoot talk. I love this Bigfoot talk. I still believe something's going on. I just don't know what, and I wouldn't be shocked if we found Bigfoot stepped into D.C. right there at the White House and told Biden, "You suck." I would believe it. I would fucking believe it. Because
after all, they are
Trump
intelligent.
Fan. Yeah,
they are intelligent.
Oh, he's definitely a Trump fan. Come on, the guy kills animals and eats them and shit. Yeah.
All right, guys. If you like the show, please like and subscribe. Hit that like button down below and subscribe to us, please. We need all the love we can possibly get. And Jerry, you're welcome back anytime.
We're
anytime
going to get to do
you
a
like.
couple shout outs before we quit.
With Mike's yours, brother. Give all the shout outs.
Shout outs to my guys at Dirty South Sasquatchin.
Representing.
Happy birthday to old Lex. And happy belated birthday to old Deb.
Happy birthday,
and
Lex.
Old Lex,
and
old Deb.
Old Lex and old Deb. Happy
Young
birthday.
people.
And to all my people out there, I love you.
All those people. Nice.
All right, guys.
Hold on. Slow. Happy birthday to you too. You had a birthday the other day.
Happy birthday to you there, Hound Dog.
Thank you. Tomorrow
I'm
morning.
Like 2 days
tomorrow.
older than
Happy birthday to you
I'm
too.
like a week ahead.
Double
Older than Hound Dog.
birthdays. Double birthdays. How old are you, old bastards? Let's give it up.
37.
Bullshit.
32.
In case the ladies are listening.
I'm 60. well, I'll be 60.
Hey, let me say, this is platinum, not gray.
55 minutes.
55 minutes. Nice. Are you seriously 60?
Yeah.
Nice, dude. That's a landmark there.
Boys, we are timing out. Jerry, appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you taking the drive all the way up here.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. We appreciate it, man.
Hey,
love
open
hearing
invitation,
about it,
man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all this Bigfoot stuff, I started out, I was a skeptic. Still am a skeptic, but I have really think that there's a lot of intriguing stuff out there that needs to be investigated.
Exactly.
Jerry, keep up the good work.
Yeah, you got to get in
Thank
the
you.
woods to see
Thank
it,
you very
man.
much.
You
We
don't
need to
see us sitting on the couch, you know?
I want to get in the woods, Big Daddy. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right,
Remember,
guys.
let's-
Go ahead, Town Dog.
Let's drink about it and drink responsibly.
It's been a Studio 77 production.
Or 64, 93, or
Whatever
Rod
Rod
wants to
Nader
say.
says, 92.
You mean it's over? Well, shit.